The captain's voice shattered the cabin's silence. "Is there a combat-trained pilot on board?" In seat 8A, a black single dad jolted awake, because the answer was yes, and because the past he'd buried just dug itself free. The aircraft cruised smoothly through a blanket of cloud, engines humming with a steady confidence that lulled most passengers into sleep. Tray tables were up. Seatbelts loose. The kind of calm that made people forget they were hurtling 6 miles above the earth in a metal tube held together by trust. Marcus Reed never forgot. Even asleep, his body knew the sound of a voice under pressure. The captain's tone wasn't panicked, but it was clipped, precise, trimmed of comfort. That was a voice trying to stay ahead of fear. Marcus's eyes opened. Instantly alert. Beside him, his 6-year-old daughter Layla slept with her head on his shoulder, braids tied with purple beads that clicked softly when the plane shifted. Her coloring book lay open on a half-finished sun, yellow crayon pressed too hard into the page. Marcus adjusted his arms so she wouldn't slide. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain continued, "if there is any combat-trained pilot on board, please notify a flight attendant immediately." The words landed like a dropped wrench. Whispers bloomed across the cabin. A nervous laugh somewhere near the back. Someone muttered, "Is this part of the movie?" Marcus felt the old switch flip inside his chest, the one he'd sworn would never turn on again. Combat trained. Not just licensed. Not just experienced. Combat. Layla stirred. "Daddy." He leaned down, smoothing her hair. "It's okay, baby. Just rest." But his eyes were already scanning. Exit rows, aisle spacing, the flight attendant's pace. He noted how one of them clutched the intercom too tightly, knuckles pale. He noted the faint change in engine pitch, a fraction too sharp to be imagined. Marcus Reed had flown into places that didn't exist on maps. He'd landed planes with half their instruments dead and all their secrets classified. He'd brought people home when physics said they shouldn't have made it. And then his wife died in a roadside accident while he was deployed, an ordinary, stupid tragedy that no training could fix. After that, Marcus quit. He took commercial flights now. Sat in economy. Packed snacks and wipes and bedtime stories. He became just another tired single dad doing his best. The call button above seat 8A glowed silently. Across the aisle, a man in a press suit shook his head. "This is ridiculous. Planes don't just ask for pilots." Marcus swallowed. That was the problem. They do, when something's gone very wrong. The captain's voice returned, lower, stripped of rehearsed calm. "This is not a drill." A hush fell. Even the air felt thinner. A flight attendant moved briskly down the aisle, eyes darting from face to face. She paused when she reached Marcus, hesitated, as if measuring him, then moved on. He saw the doubt flash there. Saw the unspoken question. Him? Marcus had seen that look before. At recruitment briefings. At security checkpoints. At fancy schools when he picked Layla up after work. He ignored it then. He ignored it now. Layla looked up at him, fully awake. "Daddy, are we in trouble?" He met her eyes, steady and warm. "Not if people help." She nodded, trusting him with the fierce faith only children have. The engines shifted again, this time unmistakable. The plane dipped just slightly, enough to send a ripple of unease through the cabin. Someone gasped. Marcus didn't hesitate anymore. He pressed the call button. The soft chime sounded impossibly small for the decision it marked. The flight attendant was there instantly. "Sir? I'm a former combat pilot," Marcus said quietly. "Tell the captain." Her eyes widened, not with disbelief, but with relief. "Please come with me." Murmurs followed him as he stood. A man a few rows back scoffed. "You've got to be kidding." Marcus knelt in front of Layla, blocking out the noise. "Hey. I need you to stay right here, okay? I'll be back soon." Her lip trembled. "You promise?" He pressed his forehead to hers. "Always." As he straightened, the plane shuddered, not violently, but wrong. The hum beneath their feet turned strained, like a muscle pushed past its limit. The cockpit door opened just long enough to let him slip inside. Heat. The smell of stressed electronics. Warning lights blinking in angry red patterns Marcus hadn't seen in years, but his hands remembered them instantly. The captain looked up, eyes sharp and afraid. Name? Marcus Reed. Something passed across the captain's face. Recognition or hope. We've lost primary flight control. Autopilot's fighting us. And we're running out of options. Marcus slid into the jump seat, already scanning instruments, mind racing faster than the alarms. Outside, the passengers waited. Behind him, in seat 8A, a little girl whispered her father's name. And Marcus Reed placed his hands near the controls, knowing the next few minutes would decide everything. He took a breath, and the plane lurched harder, as the warning system screamed its final alert. The warning alarm screamed like it recognized him. Marcus didn't flinch. He hadn't heard that sound in years, but his hands remembered exactly what it meant. The cockpit was alive with chaos held together by discipline. Red lights blinked in angry rhythms. The co-pilot fought the yoke, sweat beading at his hairline. The captain's jaw was clenched so tight it looked carved from stone. Primary flight control failure, the captain said. Autopilot's oscillating. Manual inputs lagging. Marcus leaned forward, eyes moving fast. Airspeed, altitude, trim, hydraulics. Which system dropped first? Hydraulic B, the co-pilot answered. Then feedback delay. We're chasing the plane instead of flying it. Marcus nodded once. That was all he needed. Commercial cockpits were clean, civilized things. Combat cockpits were brutal, built for failure, for damage, for improvisation. This aircraft wasn't meant to be flown like that. But Marcus was. Kill the autopilot, he said. The captain hesitated. If we do, we lose the argument and take control, Marcus finished. Right now the plane's fighting you because it thinks you're wrong. Trust me. I've flown worse with less. A half-second passed. Then the captain nodded. Do it. The alarm tone changed, lower now, angrier. The plane dipped, passengers screaming faintly through the reinforced door. Marcus grabbed the yoke. The lag was there, just as described. A predator's delay. He compensated instantly, applying force early, thinking 3 seconds ahead instead of 1. The nose steadied. The co-pilot stared. How did you? Don't react, Marcus said. Anticipate. She's wounded, not dead. He adjusted trim manually, ignoring the ache in his shoulder as resistance fought back. Sweat slid down his temple. He welcomed it. This was familiar. Honest. The captain exhaled. Control stabilizing. For now, Marcus replied. What else isn't talking to us? The co-pilot scanned. Partial sensor blackout. Left side angle of attack's unreliable. Marcus grimaced. So she's lying. Occasionally, the captain said. Then we fly by truth, Marcus said. Speed. Feel. Physics. Another shudder ran through the frame. Over the intercom, a flight attendant's voice cracked as she tried to keep the cabin calm. Marcus's mind split cleanly in two. One part lived here, in numbers, angles, pressure, and instinct. The other was back in seat 8A. He saw Layla's eyes. Heard her promise echo in his head. Always. Nearest runway? Marcus asked. The captain shook his head. We're too far from land. Closest diversion's over 200 miles. Marcus did the math instantly. Fuel. Wind. Structural limits. We don't need a runway yet. We need stability. He reached up, killing another automated system. The cockpit went quieter, almost eerily so. Like a battlefield after the first shots. The plane leveled. The co-pilot laughed, short and breathless. I don't believe this. Marcus didn't smile. Don't. Belief gets you killed. The captain studied him. You flew fighters. And transports, Marcus replied. And things you're not cleared to hear about. Another pause. Then, quietly, "Why'd you stop?" Marcus didn't look away from the instruments. "Because my wife died while I was saving strangers." No one spoke after that. The aircraft trembled again, stronger this time. Marcus felt it through the yoke, through the seat, through his bones. Structural stress. "We're pushing her too hard," the co-pilot warned. "We don't have a choice," Marcus said. "If we let her dictate, she'll tear herself apart." A new warning light flickered, then stayed on. The captain swore under his breath. "We're losing secondary hydraulics." Marcus's jaw tightened. That narrowed the window. "Badly." "Captain," Marcus said calmly, "I need you to trust me completely. No hesitation. No overrides." The captain met his eyes. In them, Marcus saw fear, but also something else. Hope. "You have it," the captain said. Marcus adjusted their descent profile, easing the aircraft into a narrow band where stress and lift balanced on a knife's edge. It was ugly flying. Dangerous. The kind that punished mistakes instantly. The screaming alarm stopped. Silence fell. In the cabin, passengers held their breath without knowing why. Marcus finally allowed himself one thought of Layla. "Hold on, baby." The co-pilot wiped his face. "If we can keep this configuration, we might make the diversion." "Might," Marcus echoed. "But she's still bleeding." Another vibration rippled, subtle, deadly. Marcus felt it before the instruments showed it. He stiffened. "Captain, we've got a bigger problem." The captain's eyes snapped to him. "What?" Marcus swallowed once. "The airframe's not just stressed." The warning light turned solid red. "It's starting to fail." Marcus tightened his grip on the yoke as the plane groaned like a living thing. Because now, flying it wasn't the hardest part. Keeping it together was. The plane groaned, deep, metallic, unmistakably afraid. Marcus felt it in his teeth before the instruments confirmed it. This wasn't turbulence. This was the sound of something breaking that wasn't meant to be fixed at 37,000 feet. A new vibration crawled through the yoke, uneven and hungry. Marcus eased pressure instinctively, adjusting pitch by fractions no commercial checklist would ever teach. "Structural integrity warning," the co-pilot said, voice tight. "Forward fuselage stress." The captain exhaled slowly. "How long?" Marcus didn't answer right away. He closed his eyes for half a second, not in fear, but in calculation. He pictured the aircraft like a living body, bones, joints, tendons of aluminum and composite stretched too far. "Minutes," Marcus said finally. "Maybe less if we fight her." The cockpit fell silent. Outside, clouds rolled past like nothing in the world had changed. Inside Marcus's chest, something old and heavy shifted. He'd been here before, not in this aircraft, not with civilians, but in the same impossible space where physics stopped being theory and became judgment. He remembered heat blooming across panels, radio chatter cutting out, a wing that shouldn't have stayed on staying on anyway. He remembered surviving. And he remembered who hadn't. "Marcus," the captain said quietly, breaking the silence. "If we lose the frame." "We won't," Marcus said, sharper than he meant to. Then he softened his tone. "Not yet." He leaned forward, scanning load distribution. "We need to unload the stress. Slow descent. Reduce lateral forces. No sudden corrections." The co-pilot frowned. "If we slow too much, we risk a stall." Marcus nodded. "If we don't, the plane tears itself apart. Pick your poison." The captain didn't hesitate. "Do it." Marcus began flying the aircraft the way he'd flown wounded birds out of hostile airspace. Gentle, deliberate, coaxing instead of commanding. Every movement was a negotiation. The vibration eased. Not gone, but quieter. "That bought us time," the co-pilot said. "Time is all I ever ask for," Marcus replied. His mind flicked, unbidden, to seat 8A. He imagined Layla gripping the armrests now, eyes wide, looking for him every time the plane shuddered. The thought tightened something behind his ribs. He'd promised her. Always. A sudden jolt slammed through the frame, harder than before. The co-pilot cursed. A warning tone blared, different now. Higher. Marcus's blood ran cold. "Captain," he said carefully. "We've got asymmetric lift." The captain stared at the panel. "Left wing's flexing outside tolerance." Marcus nodded once. That explained the vibration pattern. "Can we compensate?" the co-pilot asked. Marcus hesitated. This was the moment, the kind no simulator could ever replicate. The truth was ugly. "Yes," Marcus said. "But not the way you think." He looked at the captain. "We need to bleed altitude fast, controlled, straight-line descent. No banking. No correction beyond minimum." The captain frowned. "That'll scare the hell out of the cabin." Marcus met his gaze. "Better scared than scattered." Another pause. Then the captain keyed the intercom, voice steady but urgent as he gave a carefully worded announcement about turbulence and descent. Marcus felt the plane respond as they dropped, air thickening, pressure shifting. The wing groaned again, but this time it held. "Good," Marcus murmured. "Come on, girl." The co-pilot watched him. "You talk to planes?" Marcus didn't smile. "Only the ones that can hear me." A sudden memory slammed into him. His wife's voice on a crackling call years ago, teasing him for talking to machines more gently than people. The ache came sharp and unexpected. Focus. A new alert chimed, fuel imbalance. The co-pilot looked up. "We're losing fuel faster on the left." Marcus cursed under his breath. "That wing's bleeding us dry." The captain stiffened. "If it ruptures, we don't let it," Marcus said. "We lighten it." The co-pilot stared. "You mean?" "Dump fuel," Marcus finished. "Selective. Now." "That's—" the co-pilot swallowed. "That's drastic." Marcus looked at him hard. "So is gravity." The captain nodded. "Do it." Fuel jettison valves opened. Outside, thousands of pounds of weight vaporized into the sky. The plane rose slightly in relief, then steadied. The wing held. Barely. Marcus allowed himself a single breath. Then the plane lurched again, violent this time. Passengers screamed. Something banged deep within the fuselage, a sound no engineer ever wanted to hear. The co-pilot's voice shook. "We just lost." Marcus saw it at the same moment the warning flashed. Control surface failure. His hands tightened. Sweat dripped from his chin. "Okay," Marcus said softly, terrifyingly calm. "Now it's just us." The captain's voice was strained. "Can you still fly her?" Marcus stared through the windshield at the endless sky, then thought of a little girl waiting in seat 8A. "Yes," he said. Then, quieter to himself. "But it's going to cost." As the plane dipped again, Marcus realized the only way to save everyone might require a choice no parent should ever have to make. The controls went light. Too light. Marcus knew that feeling. It meant the plane was no longer obeying him. It was allowing him. A violent tremor ran through the fuselage, followed by a sickening softness in the yoke. The aircraft wasn't stable anymore. It was balancing on borrowed mercy. "Control surface response is degraded," the co-pilot said, voice barely steady. "We're flying on partial authority." Marcus nodded, eyes never leaving the horizon. "Then we don't ask for permission." He adjusted thrust asymmetrically, coaxing the aircraft with engine power instead of control surfaces. It was old school. Dirty. The kind of flying that lived in the bones, not the manuals. The captain watched him, all creeping through the fear. "You're using thrust to steer." "I'm using whatever still listens," Marcus replied. Another shudder rippled through the plane, lighter now, but more frequent. Structural fatigue was setting a rhythm. Tick. 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 Every vibration was a countdown. Marcus ran numbers in his head faster than the displays could refresh. Altitude dropping. Air density rising. Stress easing, but not enough. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, "we're not going to make the diversion." The words hung there, heavy and unavoidable. The co-pilot swallowed. Then what do we make? Marcus didn't answer immediately. His mind went somewhere else, somewhere dangerous. Day. Layla's legs probably didn't reach the floor. She'd be swinging them nervously, counting the beads in her braids like she did when she was scared. Waiting for him to come back. Marcus's chest tightened. There is one option, he said at last. But it's not standard. The captain turned to him fully. Say it. Marcus inhaled slowly. We separate the stress. Silence. The co-pilot stared. You mean controlled partial release? Yes, Marcus said. We force a decompression event in a non-critical section. Relieve pressure. Save the wing. The co-pilot's face strained of color. That's insane. Marcus met his eyes. So is pretending this plane can survive intact. The captain looked between them. What happens to the cabin? Marcus chose his words with surgical care. Localized pressure loss. Oxygen masks deploy. Noise. Fear. But survivable. The captain's voice was hoarse. And if it goes wrong? Marcus didn't flinch. Then it ends fast. The cockpit filled with the sound of the aircraft groaning again, metal stretched past forgiveness. The captain closed his eyes for a moment. Then he nodded. Where? Marcus pointed. Aft cargo adjacent fuselage panel. Reinforced. Least populated zone. The co-pilot whispered. My God! Marcus leaned forward, hands steady despite the storm inside him. Captain, I need full authority. No second-guessing. No delays. The captain stared at him, then removed his hands from the controls. You have it. For the first time since stepping into the cockpit, Marcus felt the full weight of command. This was the part they never showed in movies. Not the heroics. The responsibility. He keyed the intercom briefly, instructing the cabin crew to strap in, voices urgent but controlled. He imagined Layla hearing the words, her heart pounding. Daddy, where are you? Marcus lined up the aircraft, minimizing stress vectors. Every movement was measured. Every breath counted. On my mark, Marcus said. The co-pilot's hands trembled as he armed the system. Pressure release charges armed. Marcus's mouth was dry. He thought of his wife's laugh. Of bedtime stories. Of promises. Always. Mark, Marcus said. The detonation was not an explosion, but a brutal thump, like the plane had been punched by God. The aircraft screamed. Alarms erupted. Oxygen masks dropped. The plane jolted violently, then something miraculous happened. The vibration eased. The wing stabilized. The aircraft exhaled. Marcus held the yoke steady, heart hammering so hard it hurt. He waited, counting seconds, watching numbers. 1, 2, 3. Nothing failed. The co-pilot laughed hysterically. It worked. The captain sagged in his seat, breath shaking. You crazy son of a... We're not done, Marcus said. Because Marcus knew something they didn't. Controlled decompression always demanded balance. And balance demanded sacrifice. He studied the updated structural map, eyes locking on a new red zone creeping forward, toward the cabin. Toward Day. Marcus's hands tightened. The plane could survive. But not without a final correction. One that required someone in the cabin. Someone who knew what they were doing. Someone who was willing to leave the cockpit. Marcus swallowed hard as he realized the only remaining solution would put him on the other side of the cockpit door, away from the controls, and closer to the one person he couldn't afford to lose. The cockpit door opened, and Marcus stepped away from the controls. Every instinct in his body screamed not to. But some promises outrank survival. The captain grabbed his arm. Marcus, if you leave the seat... I know, Marcus said softly. Keep her steady. Don't chase the plane. Let it breathe. The captain searched his face, seeing the truth there. He nodded once. We'll hold her. Marcus keyed the intercom to the cabin crew. I need a clear aisle to row 8. Now. The doors sealed behind him as he stepped into chaos. Oxygen masks dangled like pale flowers. Passengers clutched armrests, eyes wide, mouths open in silent terror beneath the roar of rushing air. A baby screamed. Someone prayed out loud. The plane shuddered, not violently now, but constantly, like a body refusing to rest. Marcus moved fast but calm, one hand brushing seats for balance. Then he saw her. Seat 8A. Layla sat perfectly still, mask crooked over her face, small hands gripping the armrests exactly the way he taught her on roller coasters. Her eyes found him instantly. "Daddy." That single word nearly broke him. He knelt in front of her, securing her mask properly, pressing his forehead to hers. "You did so good," he whispered. "I'm proud of you." Her eyes shimmered. "Are we going to be okay?" Marcus smiled, the same steady smile he'd used in war zones and hospital rooms and nights when grief came for him after she'd fallen asleep. "Yes," he said. "But I need your help." She nodded without hesitation. "Okay." Marcus reached into the seat back pocket and pulled out the safety card, flipping it over to the blank side. He drew quickly, hands precise. "See this?" He showed her a simple diagram. "There's a door back there that needs to stay closed. I'm going to help the plane by holding something in place. The flight attendants will be with you the whole time." Her lip trembled. "You're coming back, right?" Marcus's chest tightened. He forced himself to meet her eyes. "I need you to remember something first." She sniffed. "What?" "You are brave. Not because you're not scared, but because you do the right thing anyway." She nodded slowly, absorbing it. Marcus kissed her forehead. "I love you bigger than the sky. I love you more," she whispered. He stood before his courage could fail. At the aft section, Marcus strapped himself into a maintenance harness as a flight attendant helped, tears streaking her face. The pressure was immense now, air screaming through the compromised panel. Marcus locked the brace into place, using his body weight to counter the stress vector, becoming part of the aircraft itself. The plane steadied. In the cockpit, the captain stared at the readings. "Structural stress, stabilizing." The co-pilot whispered, "He's holding it." Minutes stretched like hours. Marcus's muscles burned. His vision blurred. But he held on, thinking of bedtime stories, of purple beads, of a little girl who trusted him with her whole world. Below them, land appeared through the clouds. "Runway in sight," the captain said, voice breaking. "We're going to make it." The descent was rough but controlled. Tires hit tarmac hard, too hard, but they held. The plane screamed, shuddered, then slowed. Silence followed. Then cheering. Crying. Relief flooding the cabin like oxygen. Flight attendants rushed to Marcus, unhooking him, helping him stand. His legs nearly gave out. He stumbled forward, running now, back to seat 8A. Layla launched herself into his arms. "You came back," she sobbed. "Always," Marcus said, holding her tighter than he ever had. Later, as emergency crews surrounded the plane and passengers shared stories in shaken voices, the captain found Marcus near the exit. "You saved every soul on this aircraft," the captain said. "They'll want to honor you. Medals. Interviews." Marcus shook his head gently, looking down at Layla coloring a new sun, this one brighter. "I already have everything I need." As they stepped onto the tarmac, the world buzzing with lights and noise and gratitude, no one noticed seat 8A anymore. But everyone on that plane would remember this. When asked if any combat pilots were on board, a single dad stood up and chose love over fear, promise over survival, and proved that the strongest thing a man can carry is not a rank, not a past, but a child who believes in him.